Well, that's the thing about Islam. For example, the fact that the Koran is different from the Bible. Now, the Quran, in a way that the Bible doesn't, talks about Muhammad basically staked his flag on a cosmology, the Platonic cosmology. It's called the Ptolemaic system, Ptolemy's system. Is later a kind of mathematical attempt to justify the Platonic geocentric model of the solar system. Now, okay, like a lot of things in the Quran, it's wrong. It's actually scientifically wrong. And added to that the fact that, compared to the Bible, the Quran makes mistakes and gets things wrong. But Muslim apologists, even Muhammad from the very start started accusing the Christians of forgery. When people pointed out that there's confliction between the Quran and the Bible, he just said the Christians have got it wrong. Now, by the way, this is a very, very old tactic of the Gnostics, is to say, when people point out, like, the Gnostics would edit the Bible, like chop out sections, and people would say, well, you just cut that out. What are you talking about? And they would say, no, you just put that in. And this is an old tactic of Gnosticism, to just justify their rewriting of the Bible to suit their philosophical, religious ideas. Now, now the Quran is full of errors, scientific errors, and historical errors, and just contradictions, and and sort of contradictions with the Bible. But Muslim apologists have various ways of just getting around these things. And people who are into a modern liberal Western democratic state says that Christians and Jews and Muslims have just as much as right to their religious ideas and practices as everyone else, right or wrong. Now, the thing is, that's all well and good, but there is something to be mentioned about Islamic countries, and this also means, it also holds for Jewish communities, is it's to say, a liberal state will say, yeah, sure, Muhammad got it wrong, so what? These people are allowed to really, they're following some uneducated preacher from the desert from the 7th century who got some things wrong. Okay, so what? It's their right to have their religious ideas. But it doesn't, that's not the whole story, because if you look at Muslim countries, right, they are Muslim countries are overrun with occultism. They're just, you go to like a market in Turkey or Jordan or something, and you see all kinds of jewelry for sale at local markets, and you see all kinds of magical jewelry like the Eye of Horus, Egyptian stuff, and you see this stuff all the way up in the Central Asia, and that's what's one disquieting truth about the Islamic world is it's absolutely overrun with superstitious religious ideas, and every fortune teller, every palm reader, tarot card reader, every carnival huckster, spirit medium, all manner of hucksters and frauds they're all over the Islamic world. And this is one of the difficulties with Islam, because the Islamic countries have banned the Bible, and they persecute Christian and Jewish communities, and ban the Bible and ban the Torah. I mean, a lot of people are in a sort of like a kind of twilight zone, and even well-meaning, liberal, secular, scientific, rational governments in Muslim countries, they go up to these carnival hucksters and fortune tellers and crystal ball gazers and palm readers and astrologers and fortune tellers, and they go to these people and they say, well, look, what you're saying isn't science. What you're saying is just erroneous. What you're saying is mumbo jumbo. Please desist or leave. And what these whatever Kabbalah, fortune tellers, Freemasons, all manner of babblers, they can point to the Quran, like any sort of Kabbalah fortune teller, he can point to the Quran and say that these things, like the magical occult cosmology, the 7 crystal spheres, astrology, they're in the Quran. And you're telling me that my science is mumbo jumbo, and when this is from the Quran, and the messenger of Allah has given it the imprimatur of truth. So that's a point that people don't realize about the Quran and civil government, is that it puts a stamp of the authority of God on bullshit. Now, yeah, even, for example, the struggles of the Turkish government with, the secular Turkish government with, Islamic political parties. I mean, then this goes to one of the issues of having Sharia law in civil government, is that the Quran is a kind of it's not just an erroneous religion. It's a fairly subtle means for all kinds of hucksters and frauds and scam artists come in to even schools and communities and mosques, and they get all these frauds can come in under the banner of pious religion. Now, I mean, and that's just frustrating. I mean, if you were like, for example, I mean, if you had a house and a nice front lawn, and some carnival huckster sets up a tent on your front lawn and sets up a tent and starts has some impressive robe, and he starts telling fortunes and reading palms and doing tarot cards and reading tea leaves and well, I mean, you say you wanted this, you called the police and you say, I want this guy, I want this sideshow off my property, and because he's just spreading nonsense and he's scamming all my friends and neighbors out of their money, and you ask the police to get this guy to move his operation elsewhere, vacant lot at the end of town or something, but the police can't, because the carnival huckster, the fortune teller, can say that what he's doing is from the Koran, or it's from the mouth of God, and because if you say that some astrologer is just a fraud, you're saying that the Quran is wrong, and you're basically insulting the Prophet, and you should be put to death. And so, do you see how these